Something I've been thinking about a lot lately is why do so many Runescape players AFK? Isn't it weird that we like to progress our accounts by paying as little attention to the game as possible? Let's talk about that and more in this video about Runescape and its connection to AFKing. So whenever you're ready, grab your cup of tea, sit back, relax, and enjoy. Away from keyboard, or AFK for short, takes on a special meaning in RuneScape. It's no longer merely taking a break, it's much more, and it's turned into a playstyle that's embraced by the RuneScape adventurer. Interestingly, the definition of AFK doesn't withhold RuneScape players from defining it in their very own way. AFKing in the context of RuneScape can mean anything from only having to click every 10 seconds to being able to physically walk away, make a cup of tea, deploy the USS Brownfish, and then come back to find your RuneScape character still in action. In a literal sense, the latter definition is the only correct one, as you have to physically leave your keyboard and do something else. But what I think RuneScape players want most is to stay at their keyboard and PC while paying the least attention possible, all while still gaining something, whether that may be money, experience, or other forms of in-game progress. Personally, I believe that anything that allows you to not interact with the game for 2 minutes or longer is the definition of AFK. It's the point at which I would classify a skilling training method AFKable in my own videos. If you're AFKing for more than an hour at a time, you're obviously a bot. With that being said, I'm sure you can find examples of me calling something AFK in a video guide that requires an action per minute or an action per 30 seconds. It's that RuneScape player mentality etched into my brain to swap the word low effort for the term AFK. Surely I'm not the only one who's guilty of this here. Now if you're looking for something to do while AFKing, well that's where today's sponsor comes in. Dungeon Hunter 6 is an MMORPG that you can play on your mobile device. It has all the action you'd want from an ARPG as you hack and slash anything and everything that comes on your screen using one of these 6 completely unique characters available. Best of all, it's a free-to-play game that you can play by scanning the QR code on screen. Engage in guild battles, bossing raids, or casual farming modes to farm legendary loot as a lone warrior or together with friends. You can trade or sell your excess loot via the auction system. You're able to take on hundreds of different bosses, and what's really cool is that you're able to summon up to 3 bosses to fight along your side, or even use as a ride. Now that's something. Embrace the holiday spirit with the release of the brand new Shaman class. Feel the power of nature as you too can become one of the first to wield a spiritual log and crush mobs in epic fashion. Download Dungeon Hunter 6 for free on Android and iOS, and by using my link in the description below or scanning the QR code on screen, you'll get a special starter pack with 10 summoning scrolls, this demonic wolf, and an accessory pack. Now it's no secret that RuneScape players love AFKing, but out of curiosity I decided to launch a YouTube poll asking RuneScape players what their preferred method of RuneScape skilling was. Unsurprisingly, out of nearly 12,000 players that voted, only 7% of these players preferred active skilling, with nearly 2/3 preferring full AFK methods. Now of course, the type of playstyle will depend on which skill set players training, and this is something clearly shown in some of the reactions to the poll. But what this poll does show is that AFKing is far from unpopular, if not the most popular way of training your skills in RuneScape, at least when looking at RuneScape skilling. But what this does show is that AFKing is far from unpopular, if not the popular thing to do when leveling up your RuneScape skills. Personally, I AFK a lot of things in RuneScape, and it's definitely not something I started doing yesterday either. I obtained my max cape by AFKing most of my 99s while physically at school. I've AFK'd the majority of my 120 capes. I'd even go as far as to say that 2/3 of my total playtime are a direct result of second monitor gameplay. Chances are, you watching this video have AFK'd RuneScape while at work, school, or perhaps even in public transport, because RuneScape Mobile has been a thing for a while as well. But why? Why? Well, if it wasn't clear already, I was able to progress my account while staying true to my real-life goals and responsibilities. If I had to pay attention, I wouldn't have been able to do both simultaneously. It's just that simple. As RuneScape is super time-consuming, an easy way of progressing is to progress while you're doing something else. It's the only way I could stay sane during those long 120 grinds. It's just, if you compare it to other games where you can finish a complete campaign of a AAA game in, let's say, 15 to 30 hours, that's considered nothing on a game like Runescape, or any big MMO for that matter. Runescape is a game all about numbers, and there's definitely a pull to constantly progress, at least to a certain extent. For me, that constant need of progression faded out after I got my Maxcape, but I can't deny it pops up whenever a new skill comes out, just to mention an example. And I'll be honest, I'm glad I stopped AFKing tons and tons after Maxcape, because I would almost call that initial pull towards a goal a form of RuneScape addiction. Feeling like you need to log in every day to progress towards your goal and AFK at every opportunity you have, then get annoyed when you can't, is probably a form of addiction. But let's not go off topic here. We're talking about RuneScape AFKing, something unaddicted players also do to cope with the grind fest that is RuneScape. RuneScape developers have made RuneScape more AFKable than ever. Whether intentional or not, it doesn't matter. If you start to think about it, every RuneScape skill is AFKable in some shape or form. It might not be the case from the get-go and for every level range, but nearly every skill has a decent low effort, aka AFKable method. Some skills that maybe weren't as AFKable before have become easier to train while laying back and just doing something else. Take for example the mining and smithing rework. Mining became AFKable across every tier of ore, and updates to the perfect juju mining potion made AFKing even more worthwhile when combined with stone spirits. Smithing items takes longer, and you're able to queue up a full inventory of smithable items while keeping your smithing heat high with serum prayers and auto heater items. The ability to continuously pickpocket an NPC as long as you don't fail from the sticky fingers relic power became a base feature in 2022, giving birth to new AFK thieving training methods. If I'm being entirely honest, spam clicking an NPC was just a toxic game mechanic that was very unfun. Now I could list many more examples such as AFK overload making, player-owned farms, which admittedly is not really AFK, it's more of a passive daily kind of thing, but I'm sure you get my point. On the topic of passive experience, I don't think I can go ahead without mentioning the Fort Furinfree update, where you're now able to gain offline experience, so passive experience, by literally just creating your town hall. It's nothing major, but it is still passive XP. Dungeoneering is probably the least AFK skill in the game, although it is possible to leech dungeoneering floors, and you could argue that AFKing sinkholes is a thing, but really I think it's the least AFKable skill in the game. Oh wait, dungeoneering dummies exist. Right. And during the summer, the dungeoneering hall is also an AFK way of training dungeoneering that 90% of the players use. Yeah. AFKable events like the beach have been a thing for a very long time. Most events, especially the ones in the Lumbridge Crater like the Spring Fair, are very AFKable or have a bunch of AFK activities. Combat has been AFKable for like forever because certain monsters are aggressive, but even then Jagex has made it easier and more effective to AFK combat training over the years by introducing updates such as aggression potions in 2016. Revolution++, which automatically activated thresholds and ultimates for you in 2017. Potion reservoirs, also 2017, and as of recently, a longer AFK timer, all the way up to a maximum of 15 minutes. Now, I just mentioned dungeoneering skilling dummies, and alongside AFK methods becoming more and more prevalent, it would be a crime to not talk about the rise of MTX-related AFK items. Proteans are probably the best known items, as they're incredibly solid XP gain while being 100% AFK. Additionally, they're quite easy to get and collect over time to then use on a double XP event for maximum gains. Now, these items were slowly introduced over the years, with protein planks being the first of its kind in November 2013. Ironically, back then, protein planks were a super solid AFK construction training method, as when making flat packs, the extra ones would be automatically dropped to the floor until patched in 2015. The amount of proteins since have increased, and over time certain types have been reworked here and there, either buffed or nerfed. All of them, however, are still very good, some of which, like protein traps, are even meta. When Jagex increased the logout timer to 10 minutes, they also released a MTX item called a protein prolonger that allows you to AFK proteins for 10 minutes instead of 5. Other notable examples of AFK MTX are Silverhawks, which were released in early 2014 and allowing you to gain agility experience while literally doing anything else, including AFK stuff, and of course skilling dummies, which are insane experience, AFK, and just... they're absolutely broken, that's what they are. The target audience for these items, in my eyes, are players that like to go through certain level ranges quickly and do it while being laid back, chill, AFK. The biggest problem with AFK methods, including these MTX items, is that in most cases, I reckon the benefits to playing actively don't actually outweigh the effort involved to get those rates compared to just AFK. In some cases, and I could cherry pick a bunch of examples, but let's say thieving, the AFK training method is faster than the active method. With Hunter, it's the exact same thing. You're doing charming morphs or using protein traps to get to 99 or 120. But there's also plenty of methods where actively training is faster, 20% faster, let's say, for in-free construction compared to creating Flotsam prawn brokers. It's faster to do those prawn brokers, but no one wants to be spam clicking something and instead will choose AFK. To be fair, the gap between these two methods in terms of XP rates isn't all that big. Fishing does have a big difference between the active and AFK methods, where Fishing Frenzy is about twice as fast as regular AFK fishing, and this will depend on your gear and buffs and stuff. But let's say it's twice as fast. But it doesn't matter. Most players are still going to choose that AFK option because no one is looking to sweat out 99 fishing if you can just AFK. If that didn't convince you yet of how much players love to AFK, players would rather AFK in a hole at the beach than learn to dungeoneer and level 5 to 20 times as fast by playing actively. At the end of the day, I suppose it's nice knowing there's a lot of variety in content and there's at least an option to progress without sweating it out. It's the nice thing about RuneScape. There's something for every type of player, although it is questionable that certain skills are faster AFK than actively training them. It's the one thing that makes me feel like we're heading deeper into AFK territory. With that being said, we've come to the end of this video. If you enjoyed it, leave a like down below and maybe even consider subscribing. And a thank you to Dungeon Hunter 6 for sponsoring this video. Peace.